All right, this is a review of Worthington Manor Golf Course, which is out on I-270, just southwest of Frederick, just a few miles north of PB Dye on the outside of I-270. It's just south of I-70, and it's actually maybe at the most an hour out of downtown DC. This is a course I used to be on GolfNow, and I missed it while I was there. It's another one of those courses that had flirted with GolfNow and then pulled itself out, went back, and now it's about a $75 outing during the day on the weekend. I was able to get on at 3 o'clock on Saturday for $60. And so this is the first hole. You see here a shot basically, across a swale, a creek running to the left, dogleg left. So this is very familiar to people who've played courses like Maryland National and a few other woods courses in the area I can think of. Let's say that it's a challenging shot for people who have real trouble controlling hooks, but not so much for people who are reasonably straight, reasonably consistent. And the first hole really played okay. It was a good opening hole. Had some bumps on the side, kind of links style, but no long grass on the top of the bunks. No, not even really long rough. Not the kind that you're going to lose your ball in or anything like that. The big problem was really just staying out of the waist on the extreme edge of the course. And this set a pattern, I would say, for the most of the course. This was the number 2, and as you can probably guess, there's some kind of waste there over the blind spot in the middle of the fairway. Looked like there was a dried out lake to the right that they had drained or something. Maybe it fills up normally in a year when it gets a little bit more wet. So that was a decent approach hole there, and that led us up to, I guess, number 3, which I think I probably run into a little synchronization issue here, so I'm not going to try to play this hole by hole. But the first 3 or 4, 5 holes were decent, sort of woods / open holes that were fairly tight, but not too tight, that had a fair amount of junk, bumps and large sand traps and so forth around modestly sized greens. But still, overall, there were some notes here that I saw as I went through the front. First of all, it wasn't that much in terms of waste, like the lighter colored straw grass that you see on top of some of the sand traps and so forth. There's very little outright waste, whereas in some courses, 90% of that rough would be waste. Certainly at Wyncote, for instance, all of that outside of maybe 20 feet away from the fairway would be waste. And if you went out there, forget, there's no way you were going to find your ball out there. Also, even the longer grass, the first cut of rough was not that deep, which in some courses you will find that first cut of rough is 3, 4, 5 inches deep, and if the ball goes in there, you won't find it. There was a course I played out in, escapes me right now, out by Blue Ridge Shadows, that it was a relatively easy 3-way par 9 course, or 9-hole course, and one of the problems I kept having was that if the ball went into that rough, it was gone. I mean, it was almost impossible to find. You could walk right over it. The same problem I've had at Twin Lakes on the Oak Course in some holes, like number 8 or 9 or something. You get into that rough and the ball is just absolutely gone. You spend 5 minutes and maybe if you step on the ball, you'll find it. This course is not at all like that. You see trees on the course, but it's not like there are trees hanging over every hole. And while there are a couple of holes like that on this course, most of the holes are not like that. It's relatively open, hittable, somewhat of a challenge. You can't go out there and just spray shots and still find balls or whatever. It just, obviously take too long to play golf like that. But it's a fairly recoverable course. And I think that's good for people who are modest intermediates, somewhat, beginners, somewhat advanced beginners, guys who are trying to hit big shots, just starting to be able to feel a little bit frisky with the club, but not quite tame enough to really play that way. And it still gives you a chance to be adventuresome with your driver and your irons without overly penalizing you or requiring you to be too straight. Almost tour ready, or certainly amateur ready to play the course. It's a playable course, and I think that's good in its favor. It does give you a lot of opportunities to go out and swing the club and recover your ball, even if your ball is fairly well offline. There isn't a lot of hazard on this course. There is some, but not a lot. So it keeps you honest, but it's still an honest course. It's still a fairly decent trading course. This is one of the holes. The number 10 hole, I think, was one of the more challenging holes because the approach shot into the green is tightly bordered by that lake on the right, and it was really, I did actually lose my ball going into that hole. I just hit the ball slightly offline. I was aiming for the sand traps on the left and hit it slightly offline, and I think it caught the front edge of that lake and went in. I didn't see it and looked back there and couldn't see it. But overall, not that bad. Now, some of the holes on the backside were decent hitter holes, also nice shot maker holes. This is slightly reminiscent of, say, Potomac Ridge or some of the other semi-woods courses that you might play, like Black Rock or something like that. But I didn't see any of the big, wide open fairways like, let's say, Raspberry Falls or the huge elevation changes like you would see at Whiskey Creek. It just wasn't that big of a course. It is a much more neighborhood woods type of course without a lot of trees, without a lot of rough, and a very modest, if any, waste at all, and certainly a challenge, but not something that's overbearing. That's just over difficult, overcooked, over convoluted, nothing like that. Not like Goose Creek, where it's just too goofy, too spaghetti-like of a course. This course, I think, is a very good course that has a few downfalls, but even then they're modest. One of them is Route 80 does pass by the course, so you do see a fair amount of cars passing by the course, road noise, guys. If guys want to pass by the course with choppers or street cars and they're tuned up to any degree, they'll make some noise. I was playing the 9th green, which runs right by 80, and some gentlemen were nice enough to toot the horn a few times while I was out there walking down the green, for no reason. And the 10th tee box is the black tees are right next to the fence, next to the road. So that road does come into play. It's not as obnoxious as, say, Route 40 out towards, let's say, Maryland National, but it's still in the game. It's modest, but not something you can outright ignore, but not something that's a huge problem. So that's one, I would say, like a quarter tick right there. There are some houses on the course that you see in the first few holes, but generally it's the same 5 houses, for like 4 holes that you see. And then they're not really on the course except for the number 3 tee box. The back tees are right next to someone's house, and the blue tees are right, in their front yard. Again, like one hole, at least I could think of a Maryland National, but in any case, in this case, not even that obnoxious. And I can think of a course in Columbia that's also got that problem on some of the back holes, but not bad. I think even those 2 problems were modest on this course. And I put in some pictures of, say, number 17 here because I wanted to show that you don't have a lot of long grass offline to play out of. There isn't a lot of like thorns, briar patches, stickers and stuff out. There's some, but it's not like if you go offline on this course or you go long behind the green or anything like that, you're going to unavoidably go into them. Let's put it that way. There's some there. It's a little bit of an issue, and it's certainly something to think of, but it's not like it's a either or. Either your shot is short and in front and on the green, or it's off in the waist and it's gone. And it's not like that on this course at all. I think it's a very good balance. I liked it. It's not a huge course, but it's not short. A good balance. I liked it. It is tight enough to make it a challenge if you have problems spraying the ball off the tee or with your irons. There's no doubt about that. This course does require you to exercise very decent golf ball control. Not outright great control, but certainly decent, because it's this well sloped. There's a fair amount of verticality. There's not much in the way of long grass off the fairway, and you will definitely be able to put balls in adjacent greens at least, if nothing else, with relative ease if you have trouble hitting the ball straight. There's some water here, but it's not obnoxious. One of the par 3 that's 210 from the back tee, 150 from the blues. That's not going to be a problem for most players. There's some drives over water. They're not going to be a problem for a lot of players. Some people may have problems with it, but not a lot. It's enough of a challenge to make you play decent golf, but it's not going to penalize you for not playing great golf. And I think it also does kind of go to show that you can have a modest course that's still a good round of golf. It doesn't have to be a tour qualifier course, to be a good round of golf. It doesn't have to be as difficult as Little Bennett, or as tricky as PB Dye, or as big as Whiskey Creek or Raspberry Falls to be a good course. The one thing I didn't think was great about it is it does have that Poa green kind of thing, which I really don't like it. I just think it's just amateur hour to have that on a green. And you play a course that has good greens, like Lee's Hill or some of the course like that, which really, and Lee's Hill is kind of sloped a little bit, but still a course which really prides itself on having good greens, good, decent greens. One of the things I can give a course like Blue Knob, I guess. Is it Blue Knob? The one that's out on Laytonsville, 108. I forget the name of the course, or even Little Bennett. I can give them credit for is having good greens. Good, fun, putting greens. This course has interesting greens. It's got good action, and I like that about the course, is that the greens had good action, some good sloping and stuff, but it really was kind of undone by the Poa greens. I just think they're so... they take at least 10 to 15% of the fun out of putting. So that was one thing. So there was a number of little strikes that I had to give the course. Overall, I still have to give it a B+. And it is a great balance of a course overall. I do wish they would put decent grass on the greens. That's one thing I would an easy improvement that I would definitely have to suggest for this course. But still overall a good course. And I kind of cut it from here. I could go on. I really have had trouble stopping to talk about this course in like my previous 3 or 4 attempts. So I'll cut it off here. That's Worthington Manor, solid B+ course, 145 of 7100 from the black tees at the very back of the stack. For most people, it'll be a more modest 63 to 6,500 yards.